What comes to mind when you think of boxing? Maybe it's the roar of a crowd, two fighters circling under bright lights, or the iconic moment a champion raises a gloved fist in victory. But what if I told you the story of boxing is thousands of years older than any of that? It's a tale etched not in record books, but on ancient stone carvings and papyrus scrolls. This is the story of how boxing began, long before there was ever a ring. Our journey starts way back, around the 3rd millennium BC, in the sun-drenched lands of Mesopotamia. Archaeologists there uncovered a stone slab showing two men, fists clenched, ready for combat. No gloves, no rounds, no rules as we know them. This wasn't sport, it was a raw, primal test of strength and will. These early depictions show us that the instinct to fight with our hands, to prove our dominance, is one of the oldest human dramas, from Mesopotamia. We travel west to another cradle of civilization, ancient Egypt, here, around 1350 BC. We find more detailed scenes. Tomb paintings show not just fighters, but also spectators. This is a crucial shift. Combat was no longer just a personal struggle, it was becoming a public spectacle, an event. Some of these Egyptian fighters wore a form of simple hand wrapping, a primitive ancestor of the modern boxing glove, suggesting they were already thinking about technique and hand protection. It was a brutal art form, likely used for military training and settling disputes, all under the watchful eyes of their community. But it was in ancient Greece that boxing truly stepped into the spotlight and began to resemble the sport we recognize today. The Greeks were obsessed with physical perfection and competition. They called the sport pix or pigmachia, and it was brutal. Imagine this: fighters wrapped their hands in long leather straps called himantes. At first, these were soft leather, meant more for protection, but as the sport evolved, they became hard, unforgiving weapons. The himantes were wrapped around the knuckles and wrists, leaving the fingers free. Later, the Romans would take this a step further with the castus, a glove studded with metal and spikes, designed to inflict maximum damage. But let's stick with the Greeks for now. For them, boxing was more than just a fight, it was a demonstration of arete, or excellence and virtue. To stand your ground, to endure pain without flinching, and to fight with courage, this was the mark of a true man. In 688 BC, boxing made its grand debut at the 23rd Olympic Games. This was a massive deal. It elevated boxing from a regional pastime to a pan-Hellenic obsession. The rules were terrifyingly simple. There were no rounds and no time limits. A fight only ended when one man was knocked out or admitted defeat by raising a single finger. There were no weight classes either, so a smaller, quicker fighter might find himself facing a literal giant. Victory depended not just on strength, but on stamina, strategy, and sheer grit. The training was intense. Fighters would practice on a korikos, a punching bag filled with sand or grain, honing their footwork and timing. They learned to slip punches, to counter, and to manage their energy for a fight that could last for hours under the scorching Greek sun. The stances were different, too. With no gloves to hide behind, they fought with a more upright posture, arms extended, ready to parry blows rather than block them. The primary targets were the head and face, as body shots were considered less effective and less honorable. The stories of ancient boxers are legendary. Take on Mastos of Smyrna, who is said to have not only won the first ever Olympic boxing title but also to have written the rules. Or the famous Tisandros of Naxos, who won 4 Olympic crowns and was so dedicated that he would train by swimming across the sea to a nearby island. But the most famous story is that of Krugas and Demoxenos. Their epic fight at the Nemean Games ended in a way that perfectly captures the sport's blend of honor and brutality. After fighting for hours with no clear winner, they agreed to a final, decisive exchange. Each fighter would stand still and take one unguarded blow from the other. Krugas went first, striking Demoxenos on the head. Demoxenos, though stunned, survived. Then, it was his turn. Instead of a closed fist, Demoxenos used a straightened hand, a karate chop-like blow, and plunged his fingers into Krugas's side, tearing out his intestines. Krugas died instantly. The judges, horrified by this dishonorable act, awarded the victory to the fallen Krugas, crowning his corpse with the victor's wreath, while Demoxenos was banished in disgrace. This story teaches us that even in this most violent of contests, the Greeks valued rules and a sense of fair play. So why did these ancient societies embrace such a brutal sport? For one, it was excellent military training. In a world of near-constant warfare, a soldier who was tough, disciplined, and unafraid of hand-to-hand combat was invaluable. Boxing forged warriors. But it was also about something deeper. It was a way to confront our most basic fears, the fear of pain, of defeat, of mortality itself. By stepping into the arena, these fighters were pushing the limits of human endurance. The legacy of these ancient pioneers is all around us. Every time a boxer wraps their hands, they are echoing a tradition started by Egyptian and Greek athletes thousands of years ago. Every time a fighter bombs and weaves, they are using techniques refined on the dusty grounds of Olympia. The names have changed, the rules have evolved, and thank goodness, the gloves are much softer. But the core of the sport, to individuals, using only their wits and their fists in a raw test of courage and skill, remains unchanged. From the stone carvings of Mesopotamia to the Olympic stadiums of Greece, the journey of boxing is a testament to the enduring human spirit of competition. It's a story of survival, a quest for glory, and a brutal, beautiful dance that continues to captivate us to this day. Next time you watch a match, look past the bright lights and the modern spectacle. Remember the long, ancient shadow cast by those first fighters who dared to test themselves in the original crucible of combat. Thanks for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. See you then.